Hey, hey. Okay, so it's really exciting. All right. So now I am officially in. What is it? Am I going ahead of myself here? Losing track of time already. Let's see. Officially day 5. Yes, I was correct. I didn't lose track of time, but enough to doubt myself to make sure I actually was in day 5. Couldn't be 100% sure of that until I looked. And yepers. So it is exciting. Number one, of course, I had a perfectly perfect day 4. So yay! So all greens. Okay, no oversleeps, no missed sleeps, nothing. It's all green. Um, Sleeps were, for the most part, quite satisfying. This last sleep, quite satisfying. I'm feeling incredibly good right now. On top of my game, I mean, like, ooh, like the very best sleep I could ever possibly get. Better than monophasic sleeping, and that is the hallmark of polyphasic sleeping. Now, I guarantee you, this is early optimism, okay, from me, okay? I guarantee you, there is going to be a backlash, okay? There is going to be a boogeyman backlash on this. There's going to be a second wind, okay? And I'm going to have to deal with it. I know it, okay? But I'm experiencing it now, okay? And I do have it. And this euphoria, this incredibly good feeling, this, is being experienced by me now. So I am enjoying it. Okay. So back to what we were talking about. The phase number, let's see, that was the 3 p.m. 3 p.m. Nap resulted in a vivid REM dream. And I mean vivid red dream. That was complicated. I mean, there was interpersonal relations, complex interpersonal relations going on. As far as communication, there was the vivid imagery was amazing. At the end of the dream, and again, I do have that theory that at the end of a dream, the subconscious mind knows already that the dream is going to end. I mean, it knows already the alarm's going to ring. It knows already. It's even possible that the alarm had already started already, and it heard it already. Okay, but I didn't hear it. I mean, that's even possible. But there is something about the subconscious mind, time and space, and the things that are in time and space, and then the consciousness that is within the dream state. There's something there that is profound, um, because there is a the sense of time, the sense of time and space is warped. I mean, you know what I'm trying to say. It's altered. It is. It's not the same time and space when you're in that dream. I mean, time and space obviously still exists. I mean, obviously, and it's still the way that it is, obviously. But my experience of time and space there in that state um, completely alterable, so that a dream that can take literally seconds can feel like it takes an hour, and really actually feel that way. Um, and there's something about the subconscious mind's foreknowledge. I mean, how does that happen? I mean, is there some sort of fourth dimensional connection? I mean, I'm talking about outside of time and space with the subconscious mind. Subconscious mind is pretty fantastic. I mean, there have been people that have been under hypnosis that have been able to, like, for instance, the bricklayer. Maybe you've heard of that story, where the bricklayer is put under hypnosis, and he is actually able to identify a specific brick, one brick. Now, he's a bricklayer as profession, so how many thousands of bricks has he laid? He is able to identify a single brick and describe it in it one building that he laid that brick. Then, of course, the researchers went back to that, found that brick that he was talking about. Subconscious mind is incredible. I mean, there's something a lot there that. So anyway, but rather than being go on about that, which again, this is all very connected with polyphasic sleeping, because we're more closely in touch with our subconscious mind through polyphasic sleeping than in uh, it's not even it's completely in a closer relationship, in a closer way with our subconscious mind by sleeping this way, because we are entering and exiting sleep very rapidly, very rapidly. We're very close to higher states of consciousness. Okay, and we're going in, we're getting to the higher state of consciousness, and we're leaving immediately. Immediately. No delays, no gaps. I mean, Delta sleep was just around the corner. And we have REM sleep that was right next to it. And, then these amazing things happen in REM sleep with time dilation, even, and then high states of consciousness like lucidity or vivid dreams. Vivid imagery is also a sign of a higher state of consciousness. But and then we awaken immediately, bang. So now what have we done? We are our consciousness is very our waking consciousness is now been elevated by that experience that we just had, because we're going in, we're grabbing it and leaving. It's whew, man, tell you what, I mean, that's pretty amazing. Okay, and it just is. So, okay, I mean, I got to stop talking about it. It's super amazing, and I'm gonna have to devote a lot more time to it in another forum or something. When outside of this, what I'm doing here, because I'll never stop talking about it because it's so profound. So, but anyway, back to what we were doing. In that 3 p.m. phase, there was a vivid dream. Right, the vivid imagery was where at the end, towards the end of the dream, and again, I'm saying that the subconscious mind knew the dream was going to end and then made this happen. Um, and that was that the there was a focus on a particular dream object, and then the the focus went closer because I actually was supposedly moving my head really, really close to this dream object to inspect it as closely as I could. And so I moved, the camera view, which is my eye view, supposedly, closed in on this object and looked at it in minute detail, every, like, all of the texture of it, and I mean, in bright color, and I was focusing on that when I woke up. So I mean that, and the feeling that I had from it, when I woke up, was again an elevated state of consciousness. And what I wanted to report, so now I'm done with that, right? But now I also want to report what happened in regards to that elevated state of consciousness and the waking state, because then what I experienced was that, the elevated state of consciousness that I had from that dream, it was like a protective covering from the boogeyman. Okay, because I'm not fully adapted, or I mean, who knows if I'm fully adapted? Maybe this still will exist where I can feel the boogeyman anyway. Okay, but the elevated state of consciousness allowed the boogeyman to merge in with my consciousness and not be able to put me to sleep. Just like it passed right through, just whoop. And so that the boogeyman was reduced to being harmless. Okay, because normally what happens, okay, the boogeyman, if you allow the boogeyman to merge, and basically what it is it's a relaxation of your mind to where you're no longer vigilant and trying to fight it off, trying to keep your consciousness spinning so that the boogeyman cannot take over your consciousness, because as soon as you all relax and allow the boogeyman to take over your consciousness, where you're no longer directing the events of your mind, it will. It will grab your mind and it will put you asleep. You will nod off. And you may just sit there for an hour. I mean, I think, if I check my dream logs, my polyphasic logs, I think I can find that I've sat in one place for an hour and a half. Woke up, my neck was hurting, and I mean, I was just sitting there for an hour and a half, out, completely out. And that's how I learned about the boogeyman. That's what taught me about the boogeyman, which is why I'm so focused on security, and you learn how strong that is. I mean, it's a force that we're powerless to really stop it. I mean, if I mean, we have That's the thing. I've learned how to stop it. Okay, and that is power. That's true power, because that force is unstoppable without proper measures. And so anyway, again, the merging of the consciousness. So in other words, I was able to let the boogeyman merge in, okay, which would normally knock me the heck out. I mean, I would be out. I would just nod, gone, and harmless. The boogeyman had no ability to knock my consciousness out. Okay, so I mean that is the state of full adaptation. Okay, that is where the boogeyman no longer holds sway over you. You're fully adapted. Okay, that is a phenomenon of full adaptation. Okay, doesn't mean I'm fully adapted. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is it is a phenomenon of full adaptation. Okay, so in other words, this adaptation is or adaptation is a process, because I know already. I mean, I know there's a second wind coming. I'm gonna be, I better be vigilant, because I ain't nowhere at day four. Because this event took place day four. I'm nowhere close to adapted. Okay, there's no way. I mean, it's possible, I guess, but I mean, I seriously highly doubt it. I mean, and I've experienced these things in my other attempts, in both of them. Okay, I've experienced these things, and the boogeyman did come back in both of them. And then, of course, in the second attempt, I had a sickness, really bad virus that wouldn't go away. Um, and there's nothing irregular about that. The fact is, polyphasic sleeping is more to adapt on the adaptation phase. It's going to be more stressful to the body. It just is. Okay, and if you stress the body, and you are in contact with, you're more susceptible to germs. Okay, so I mean that's just a reality. It's nothing unusual or anything. It's just the way the body works. If you stress your body, and this is a stressful activity, adapting. Okay, so I mean it's A plus B equals C. It's okay. So the vividness of that dream seems to be what gave me the elevation of consciousness enough to not be affected by the boogeyman, to literally just be able to relax, let the boogeyman pass, and no problem. So then what it led me to is an understanding, whether it's accurate or not, I don't know, but an understanding that the boogeyman is really always present. Okay, it's a natural force that is always there. Um, it but it only manifests itself with negative, what we would call negative traits that we would experience, like that heavy drowsiness, and the desire to sleep. That only occurs if we don't have enough in our consciousness, okay, to to counteract it. Okay, which is a balance. It's a balance, a counterbalance. Okay, so that in other words, if we do stress ourselves out in our lives enough to where we don't have enough consciousness juice, okay, whatever it is, and that's the next question, but if we get to that point, the boogeyman has a natural counterbalance to come in and make sure we go get it. Okay, and that's it, and it's there for our safety, so that we don't go insane, so we don't go one, run, because then you hear the horror stories of people, somnambulists, people that are walking in their sleep doing crazy things. Usually it's a lot of times it's associated with drug abuse. You just lose control and do horrendous things. Okay, so the body has a mechanism to keep that from happening. Okay, and if the drugs, oftentimes certain ones especially, will remove that, remove that counterbalance from taking effect, and then that's when you're in serious trouble. That's why it's always taught. Moral teaching is always that if you overindulge in alcohol, if you indulge in mind altering drugs, you are responsible for every action that you take, because regardless of whether you knew what you were doing or not. And that's also the way the law sees it. I mean, coincidentally, the law agrees with the moral law. So, um, but So that's very interesting. It's very interesting. So I mean, with that paradigm, if you will, the process of adaptation is uh, it's it's basically rebuilding your psyche. I mean, it's like rebuilding your mental, emotional, physical paradigm, if you will. I mean, it's rebuilding it. We're knocking it down by not sleeping, and then we're rebuilding it by deliberately sleeping. Okay, and it's like rebuilding that. And then if we get enough of brain love, call it brain love. If we get enough brain love, dream love from our minds, then Boogeyman doesn't have any sway. Because why? Because we satisfy the criteria for sanity. Okay, call it sanity, or call it safe functioning. You know, so that's very interesting. And I think, it feels right to me, and that feels all 100% right. Now, I'm not a scientist. That's another thing I was going to say. I'm not a scientist. I obviously am totally ignorant, nubophile with this, science stuff. I mean, I have experiential knowledge. I mean, that's about it, which is totally subjective and uninformed, really, other than it's what I've experienced. And it's based on certain things that I know are true and everybody acknowledges is true. And then there's a lot of it is theory, my personal subjective theory, based on my own experience. So okay, um, but it's very interesting, and it seems very, seems correct. And I do not advocate anyone pursue this at all. Okay, unless you're a scientist. I mean, seriously, unless you are a scientist. I mean, an actual real one with a lab and, like control studies and, like, schooling and, a real scientist, a real one. But it does beg the question about supplementation. Because if this consciousness stuff, the mind, body, uh, emotional, consciousness juice, does come down to chemicals. I mean, if it can be duplicated with a chemical composition or identified as a chemical composition, okay, then supplementation would be very interesting, potentially, for aiding people in reaching adaptation in polyphasic sleeping, which it would make it more accessible to the masses, that type of thing. There, and of course, that product could be, if it could be true that it could, such a thing would work, then it could be obviously sold to the masses. Okay, and then there's a monetary compensation for it as well. Um, and then I'm not a scientist, but obviously a scientist is obviously the first thing that they're going to think about when, if anything I'm saying is making sense. Is of course the dangers. Okay, and I personally, my personal opinion is, do not get involved with that stuff. Don't try to do it on your own. Don't do any sort of supplementation regarding this at all, and don't even think about it, because don't, just don't. Okay, scientists can, in their profession, can investigate it, contemplate it, examine it, but us lay people, don't even do it. Do not do it. Don't be stupid, and don't blame me if you do something like that, because I'm certain the potential ramifications are, I'm sure they're very bad. I'm just this feeling I get, like, don't mess with that. Don't mess with it. Don't mess with it. So okay. Boy, this is fun. All right, so now I feel like as though there was something else that I wanted to say also. Um, let's see. I mean, I ran across some dead blogs, polyphasic blogs. I mean, people that have been polyphasic, sleeping for extended periods, that are out of the mainstream. And these people are just out there blogging on their own, and nobody seems to know about them. And they're out there, and they died back in, like, I mean, some of them are, I mean, basically 2011, 2012. I mean, their blogs are just dead. They haven't done any updates, but they were like super successful polyphasic people. I mean, they were professional people, and then they were living their professional lives, and they were successful, and their blogs just died. They just stopped posting. and just weird. But it was very informative, and I enjoyed. I'm still actually going through some of those blogs. I was digging deep into Google, and I was finding these people because it's a really good thing when you're doing polyphasic sleeping. For me, anyway, it's very, very entertaining and very good for my focus and energy to review polyphasic blogs, vlogs, and materials and information because it just for some reason it just clicks really well with me. So, but I just thought I'd mention that. Um, what am I missing that I wanted to say? Well, I guess it wasn't that important. So, wow, man, I'm feeling great. Man, I'm feeling great. I wish I could log into work right now. I mean, I'm serious. I feel so good. Um, righty. Um, So I guess that's it. We're going to end this update. I pretty much have updated. Okay, we're waiting for day 5. Now I can say what I actually thought that day 5 was going to be. Because first of all, I presumed that I was going to have a good, perfect day for day 4. Okay, but I didn't want to curse myself by getting into that because I'm only a human being and I'm not able to accomplish anything according to my will without God's grace. So I'm just saying. So now we're looking at day 5. Now, what I expected yesterday to be day 5 to be was a horrendous backlash. There's going to be the boogeyman is going to come back on me. And if it's not day 5, it's going to be day 6. It's not day 6. I mean, he went away on my previous attempts, he went away for 2 or 3 days. I mean, like maybe 3 days even. He was gone and then came back with a vengeance. Okay, and it just shocked the living crud out of me. I mean, it just knocked the wind. It just knocked the living crud out of me. I mean, I couldn't believe it because I felt so adapted and everything, and all of a sudden, boom! Got hit so hard. And so I hope that we sail on for 3 days. I mean, let's go ahead. Let's get some more days in here of feeling awesome. I mean, I love it. So, and we'll see. Day 5 is yet to come, and I'll definitely keep this update going. And I just can only recommend polyphasic sleeping. I mean, don't do it if it's going to disrupt your life. But I mean, if you're in a position to be able to do it, man, the day, which was the 15th of August. Okay, the 15th of August, I was inspired to come back to polyphasic sleeping, and the joy that I had when I realized that I was actually going to do it and that it was going to accomplish all of my goals in my life. I mean, it's literally going to transform my life, um, and I know it. I mean, the joy that I had. It felt like I just woke up from a polyphasic sleep, and I was adjusted. It felt like I was adjusted in polyphasic sleep. Like my mind and my heart understood that what I was going to do and was happy right along with me, Like there was this just acknowledgement of like this incredible, because like my mind and my heart never did forget polyphasic sleeping. I mean, I would think about it on a regular basis, infrequently, but on a regular basis, I'd think about it and wish that I could polyphasic sleep, but that I wasn't able to because of my circumstances. And then uh, on August the 15th, I realized that now I'm in a situation where I can be successful and I can do it, and then I don't have to be sorry anymore or regretful that I didn't actually take the time and get it not locked down, get the adaptation locked in, get that adaptation, and be a polyphasic sleeper permanently. So I can only recommend people do it if your circumstances in your life will allow you to do it. And I seriously, I mean, I feel like I really want to help people get there. I mean, I really want to be a means by which people can have a better chance of getting there. But that's a long way down the road because I still got a lot of boogeyman that's coming to come back on me, and I really got to prove myself. Um, but I mean, that's definitely what I want to do. And thanks for listening. I've prolonged it long enough already. A lot of neat information, I think. And I'll update you for day 5. And thanks for listening. Have a great day.